Namaskar. Hello and welcome to CIET NCERT's live phone-in interactive special program of webinar on ICT Tools. My name is Tanvi Khurana and for next 1 hour we have an expert with us who will be interacting with us on the topic creating interactive content with H5P. What exactly is H5P? If you have any knowledge about it, if any queries you have, questions you have, then please ask our expert. She's going to stay here and we'll be taking your questions towards the end of this session. So drop your messages in the live chat box of our YouTube channel, which is NCERT Official. Ask your questions and our expert, she'll be more than happy to answer all your doubts, all your queries. If you are watching us online, which is PM eVidya channel number 6 to channel number 12, even then you can drop your questions through our phone number, which is 8800440559. And you want to email us, then the email ID would be training@ciet.nic.in. So there are various methods through which you can connect with us, coordinate with us and participate in this webinar. Let me introduce our today's expert to all of you, and she is Miss Sushumna Rao Tadinada. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Dhanu.
I'll just give a brief introduction to you all about ma'am. She is an EdTech trainer, mentor of the Learning Management System from Ethiraj College of Women, Chennai. And she is also the Masters in Computer Applications. So congratulations on your achievement firstly, ma'am. And let's begin this discussion. And I would like to ask, what exactly are you going to share to our viewers in this particular session? And if you have any presentation with you, would you like to show it to our viewers?
Yes, Tanvi, it's about creating interactive content with a tool called H5P. I would like to share my presentation and then talk about it. And I would love, because I have a couple of questions that I posted here in an interactive based manner, that where they can respond to it also, where we can see their responses. Okay. So, if you give me permission, I will start talking about H5P while presenting my screen, and then at the end we can take some questions.
Absolutely, ma'am. Let's just begin.
Thank you. So, welcome you all. Good evening. Namaste. I'm Sushumna Rao. As Tanvi said, I'm an EdTech trainer and a Moodle certified educator. Especially I work on Moodle LMS and also all other LMSs apart from various ICT tools. More than 15 years that I've been working. And then I found this tool H5P is not only very interesting but robust. I must say it's a user-friendly, especially teacher-friendly. Whatever the tool that I take up or I take up for various my trainings, I think that we should see the tool even in a pedagogical perspective also. That way really it helps for academics to really use it in a creative way. So I found this is a really robust tool that way, and I'll talk more about this H5P. What is H5P? But then before that, we have a word in the title itself saying it is interactive content. So what exactly is interaction? What do you think? What are your views about it? Your definition maybe, we must say. What is interactivity? If anybody wants to answer this, you can join with your mobile phones or your laptops at slido.com, or you can just scan this and enter the number 657395. Okay, and then you can write about it. What exactly you think is interactivity? Interaction. Here we are talking about in this webinar especially towards empowering various options in ICT literacy, right? So when it comes to interactivity, definitely in and around teaching, learning environment. So what do you think is exactly interactivity is all about? Whether it could be interaction is that this is a live interaction that is happening, right? When it comes to online learning, when it comes to when we try to disseminate knowledge through a proper channel, either it is the medium could be asynchronous or a live option. anything, right? That interaction between the student and the teacher, or the student and the content, or between the content and content, or it could be between student, teacher and content. The interaction could be in any, between any of these elements, right? So when it comes to interaction, especially in online learning environment, past 2 years that we are stuck with this pandemic, and we are all raised up with this online teaching learning environments in whatever the tool is available to us, right? So when we talk about this online learning, especially, the interaction definitely plays a major role. The word that comes to our mind, the very first word that comes to our mind when we talk about interaction is the communication between, right? Between either a trainer and a participant, a teacher and a student, or between the content, or content and the participant, content and the student, or content or the teacher. So how effectively this communication goes around, that defines the effectiveness of the entire teaching learning environment. So I love this definition. What it says is interactivity is just not merely a function of computer-based transactions. See, when it comes to interaction, we can say that even while watching a video, a student will definitely feel like playing or pausing a video, or moving forward or coming back, and depending upon the options that we give to the student or we give to the user, right? That interaction happens. But it is just not about the computer-based transaction, but a fundamental success factor, the teaching learning, especially when implemented in online context. See, in most cases, what's happening that whatever the teaching learning environment is, we see that many of our learners are interacting with the content, sometimes independently. It won't be really a synchronous one. It's not really a live one. Asynchronously, that must be happening, that might be happening, that interaction might be happening. Then how the content, how this content is really interacting with the user, that determines that how effective is our teaching learning environment. When it comes to interaction in e-learning, we usually, not going too deep into it, we can say there are these 4 levels, level 0, 1, 2, and 3. When it comes to level 0, we say merely there is an interaction, hardly, we can even say no interaction at all. Though there is an interaction, like looking at external link, we can provide some text or an image with some external links. That is not actually an interaction in the e-learning context. When it comes to limited interaction, there could be advanced multimedia. That means that there could be some videos and some clickables might be available, where a user will be presented with some menus. They can choose to the path that they would like to go. So why are we talking about this interaction and interactivity and interactive levels when the session is all about H5P? As I said, we are trying to learn about, we are trying to get some insights about creating interactive content with H5P. So first we should understand this interaction, then we can jump into our actual tool. That's the reason we are talking about interaction and interactivity levels. Okay, coming to the 3rd level, that is the moderate interaction. Actually, it is a level 2, 0, 1, and 2. Moderate interaction, where some animated videos, some simulations, complex drag and drops could be part of it. Not just merely a clickable links. A user literally interacts with the content, and the content, depending upon the type of interaction user gives, that will reply, or maybe that will decide upon. Who will do that? Who will decide that how the content should behave? The author of that particular content, the teacher who designed that interactive content will decide. So that's why an effective interaction in online learning definitely plays a major role to be really a successful to create a successful teaching learning virtual environment. Coming to the last one, that is fully interactive. Full interactivity, we call it level 3, where there are some advanced simulations, branching scenarios, or some AR, VR options are given depending upon the behavior of the learner with the teaching learning environment. The machine itself can decide the path to choose from. And mostly it's like highly gamified activity, But most of our online learning is either it is a limited interaction or a moderate interaction. I can say that definitely we can create a moderate interactions if you can concentrate for an hour or so with this tool H5P. Yes, you can create. I'm just not kidding, because that user friendly is the tool H5P. So why interactivity? Again, this is a question to the viewers. If you want to respond, you can respond here. We can even chat. If there is anything in the chat, you can type if it is comfortable for you. If at all people are watching it live, you can even chat, and somebody can help me out with those answers if there are any. Otherwise, I can just go on. Okay, why interactivity? Okay, fine. There are options, there are various levels of interactions, there are tools available, and then today we will be discussing about that tool that we will be creating. But then why interactivity? See, when we talk about interaction, we are talking about that communication, right? How the learner is communicating. Then definitely there will be a level of engagement is involved. Learner engagement is involved, which is again a key pillar for a successful virtual teaching learning environment, or online teaching learning environment, or electronic teaching learning environment, right? It's one of the major pillars, right? So where we can say that definitely learner engagement is one key, yes. And also learner will be actively participating, and then a trainer or the author who created that content will have an opportunity to communicate something to the user over there, or to the student, or they can in turn communicate with the teacher or the trainer. So I hope you all agree with that, right?
Yes,
it can, yeah. Are there any comments on that? I just wanted to know that how people perspective towards interactions, because many a time I hear that what's the point that my learner is not really going through the entire video that I provide.
Okay.
So how I can restrict him to go through the entire video?
Absolutely. So we have got two comments here. One of our viewers says interactivity helps keep the learner engaged, and another viewer says that due to this interaction, students engage in lesson and activity. So people are participating.
Okay, great, ma'am. See, because when I say why interactivity, there were questions like, teacher is really puts a lot of effort into it. I must say that kudos to all teachers that whatever the technology is available, when the pandemic hit, when they had to start online learning, online teaching, they just grabbed the technology and they started with whatever is available in their hands, either a smartphone or a laptop or a pad, right? So they put a lot of effort into it. Definitely, they think that their users must go through that. And definitely it gives immense pleasure for a trainer or a teacher when a student is really actively participating. But then at the same time, we should not really pause them, there is no point if a user just plays a video if it is a 20-minute video of a lecture of a topic, he can just or she can just switch it on and go somewhere and come, and by the time it will be finished and it will be marked as tick marked in the learning management system. But that is not the kind of interaction or interactivity that we are looking for. We want active participation. And the learner, definitely yes, I do agree. Either their viewing time or the time they spend in the virtual learning environment or the kind of attempts they made in. But then that should the trainer or the teacher to see the learning curve. Strategy to develop, or maybe sometimes, as I said earlier, it provides an opportunity for a trainer to comment or communicate with the student.
Okay.
When we have really interactive elements embedded in the content. Right?
Well,
so
your voice is breaking a little, not much.
I hope it is fine now, ma'am. I hope it is fine now, ma'am. I hope it is fine.
It's fine.
I hope.
Yes, it's fine, but it just broke like twice, a little in between.
Oh, okay. Maybe, yeah, I'm just talking about this interaction, like why it is so, why we think that interactive elements should be there in the content that we provide to our learners. Okay. Not just merely a fact that a trainer or a teacher should see that how much time they participated or viewed, but then also it should help the teacher or a trainer that how the learning curve is of that particular student. Or it should help them to comment or communicate.
Absolutely.
Through the medium, the content.
Yeah.
That's where the interaction takes, that's how the interaction should take place when we are building the content to the user, especially this era's students. And where they need a lot of reinforcement, you know, the learning. They want to rewind, they watch it again, they want to self-test, and they want to see how much they achieve. And again, it's a human tendency, you know, when we give multi attempts of a quiz, for example, in an exam, highest grade is taken. How many ever times you take this exam, and by end of February 17th, 5 p.m., whichever is the highest grade, we will be calculating that. This is the condition, for example. This is the criteria. Then definitely every learner will try to achieve 100%. A self-satisfaction, right? And when they are doing that, you have to provide a certain communication also options. When they go wrong as a teacher, when they are providing the content, what is that wrong? Instead of saying just wrong or right, it's better to comment on that option. For example, in a multiple choice quiz you give, and then you provide the correct option, the rest are wrong. In just not leaving that correct and wrong, instead of it, for example, capital of so-and-so state, Telangana is Hyderabad, capital of Andhra Pradesh is Amravati. And then if you give some other options, and then they select wrong capital, then you have to provide them, this is the capital of so-and-so state. So that way you will be reinforcing, is it? So this is how this interaction and feedback, they go hand in hand, by the way. So it will help us. But then how do we create interactive elements? How do we author interactive content? There are various authoring tools. Here I'm saying authoring tools. It's not again a new jargon. Authoring tool is nothing but an application. It's a simple software which allows us to author e-learning content and package it in various ways to deliver in various platforms in various packaging options, along with reporting option. What is this reporting option? That is what the attempts and the tracking, that's what we are talking about, right? So all those will be packaged. So what are the authoring tools? Some examples are Adobe Captivate, right? Articulate Storyline, or TechSmith's Camtasia, and very famous of teachers I have seen that iSpring Suite, because it is possible in their PowerPoint presentation. So many of them say, oh, this. But then when we chose a tool, you know, when we chose, we must think also about not just the features. Every tool will have its own pros and cons, definitely. Okay, every tool will have its own pros and cons, and then we have to really think about technological, pedagogical aspect of it, and the kind of infrastructure we have, the kind of pocket size we have, and how much it costs. Is it economical? Is it feasible? Can we afford it? And then whatever, the most important of all this is whatever the output is, the output that comes when we create content in any tool, whether it is responsive or not. What is responsive here? Responsive is mobile friendly, or you can say it is device friendly. 90% it will work in all sorts of devices, whatever the resolution and the screen size is. Not resolution, maybe the screen size, I must say. Whether it is a pad or a mobile phone or your desktop or a huge screen that you're watching, it should support, right? That is a major. And one more, the output should use low bandwidth when you use online. In the sense, there are people who uses our content, who receives our content with low bandwidth. Then definitely we must consider that whenever we package any interactive content, what is the size of that content? How can we disseminate, how can we distribute it among our student groups? What are the options, various options, whether it is, whether our students will be able to easily operate it, view it, right? So one of the authoring tools is H5P. So what is H5P? So till now I just talked about interaction and how we can develop interactive content using various authoring tools, and one of them is H5P. Now we will see what is H5P, and then how can we create, how can we distribute, meaning how can we share? What are the examples? Are there any other ways to create this? What is the infrastructure that we require? We'll talk about this. If there is any chat messages, please interrupt me in between. Definitely, I will answer that.
Okay, ma'am, let's take the questions and compliments and comments towards the end of the session.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because this is a kind of a tool that many people are aware of it. But then I feel at least not exactly really about H5P. The moment I say H5P, oh, it's not free. That's the first comment I get. So that's why I was just looking at it. Anyway, so what is H5P and why H5P? Among so many authoring tools, why H5P? Because it is a free and open source tool. What is an open source tool? Any technology to run, it requires some code, right? The application requires some lines of code, right? So this open source tools, they release their code publicly. They release their code publicly with an open license, where it can give us an option to customize it the way we want it, not just the look and feel of it, but also the functionality of the application. So H5P is one of the open source tools. So it is definitely free. When I say open source, it's based on Java, and the abbreviation for this is HTML5. Okay, it is a free and an open source one, and it is responsive. I talked about responsive. It is compatible and easy to use, not only as an author, but also as a learner. Okay, so the compatibility, that's what I'm talking about. When we deliver any content, we should see that how easy for our user it is. But again, there will be another question here. Many of them raise that no, it is not appearing the way I want it, the way I thought of. See, you thought of, but you didn't design it the way you wanted. First, we should appreciate these people, whoever gave us such a wonderful tool with the open source and a free option where the technology is openly available to us. But then we just need an environment to place it. You know, there are open source tools available out there. And we need some kind of an infrastructure, that is the environment where we can place the tool and run it. Okay, we'll talk more about it now. And as I said, H5P is free and efficient, definitely a robust tool which allow us to not only create rich HTML5 content, HTML content, again when we say HTML content, it easily works in all sorts of devices and it just requires a browser, that's it. It's very effective, open source, free authoring tool. What are the content types that we can create with H5P? There are more than 40 varieties. There are more than 40 varieties. They are still coming up. There are many of them are in beta versions. And very there are various segregation here. Like few of them are task oriented, only task you can provide. Few of them are like you can combine some content along with a task. And then few are there where you can just use it to present your content, that's it. And there are some tools where there are some content types inside H5P that among all the, more than 40 varieties where you have an option to provide feedback, right? So what kind of a feedback? Maybe based on the score, we can provide a feedback. Okay, so these are the various varieties of the tools that we have. But then before we go forward, let's talk a bit about feedback also. There is a famous quote of Nichols where it says, you know, definitely everybody agree here that feedback should be constructive, right? Oh, it is beautiful, it's wonderful. No, what is wonderful? What is good about it? Describe, define. It's definitely it should be constructive. It is good. You got A, but on what basis? Okay, and what are the areas to improve, or what are the areas that what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses? And then when you it's just not merely providing a constructive feedback. The person who receives it, they must understand the feedback and should be acted upon it. We should see some improvement or their engagement, learner engagement, or should be increased or decreased. What is happening after receiving the feedback? We must pay attention to that. We can utilize feedback in many ways. We can even use it to motivate our students, right? Sometimes in some virtual learning environments, we can even provide them some stash coins. Okay, when you complete this, you will be getting so many coins, and then you will exchange it for some goodies, right? So, and then you will be providing some feedback. Okay, these many coins means you're standing at the level of this. This level means you seek knowledge of this. This is what outcome-based learning, right? We will be motivating them to reach that outcome. So that way, as Nicole says, feedback helps to develop their capability to evaluate and regulate their own learning. We can even reward our awards with special qualities in their work when they do, right? Feedback plays a major role definitely in a teaching learning environment, especially not just a constructive one when so here again, coming to H5P content types, the 40. We can present the content along with the self-testing options, various tasks, interesting tasks, either drag and drop or watching a video and answering some questions in between, along with the text and the image content that you will be providing. As a package, whole package you can give. So few of them like interactive video or course presentation. The more advanced, little complex one is really nice and wonderful one, branching scenario or interactive book, we must say. So when I'm looking at these content types, and last year I've developed a free course, it is still available as part of my UNESCO Open Education for Better World course, creating H5P content types in Moodle, that is the course. And I thought, I saw Stuart Millar's periodic table on H5P content types. When I looked at it, I thought, why not we divide these content types like presentations with tasks, audio-based and edutainments, or only merely presentation tools, audio-based ones. So I divided them and I created a, with the help of our H5P image hotspots, I made this active also. Like when I'll show you, this is the option that where it is created using H5P content itself, and it is a simple HTML5 page. I just hosted in somewhere. Okay, so these are you can provide the text and also video. This is an example of hotspot, image hotspot. I created an image and then I made it interactive for the user. Okay, so what it needs to create or share or reuse, and what is that environment, especially to share and reuse, to view that content, we need a web browser, simple web browser. Okay, or you should have a site which supports H5P plugin. It could be your WordPress, or it could be your Drupal, or any LMS like Canvas, Moodle, or Blackboard. Okay, or they have a SaaS solution, that is software as a service, that is h5p.com. Most people I've come across recently, I've been working with H5P since, maybe I should say, inception, because you can see there that when you see the forums, I'm there since 7 years over there almost. So h5p.org, many people, the moment I say H5P, they say it is h5p.org. It is for testing purpose only. They clearly say that it is not for a real content. But many people create content in h5p.org. When it is really very popular now these days, it is very popular, H5P. And then they also thinking that they cannot hold that much content, right? They clearly said not to create real content over there. But then people started creating it. And they are providing a free environment to test our H5P and to see the examples, but they started creating it, and they clearly mentioned, and they said not all the content types, 40 varieties are available to test, only few of them are available to test. That's why many people ask me that, oh, H5P, they are not giving us free now. Definitely H5P is a free plugin option is available either for your WordPress or a Drupal, or if you have any LMSs, there are plugin options available. Okay, so don't think that it is not free. It is definitely free. Okay, and some people say they charge. Yes, they charge when they you opt for their SaaS solution, that is software as a service. They host it in an environment and then they charge for it. So when you ask me that, okay, now I can create this content in h5p.org or in a WordPress or in a LMS. I don't have, neither have a site nor a LMS, and I cannot afford that a SaaS solution. What should I do? Is there any application to create and I can distribute H5P? Yes, there is. It is called an application Lumi. It is again an open source application. It is called Lumi, and you can download this from lumi.education. I'll also, maybe they share this presentation with you all. There is a video made on how to download this entirely. There is a nice tutorial available even on lumi.education, how to download, either it is a Windows or Linux or a Mac. You can download this application. I'll just demo it maybe for a minute or so, and you can see that editor. Okay. And apart from this application, you have an option like a repository from India. It is called h5pcatalog.in, where you can register, and but an only thing is they moderate it unless otherwise you follow certain copyrights of images that you use in building the content. They approve and then you can publish it. H5P catalog.in. And then when you publish, how about the attempts? How about the tracking? Okay, when it is in the LMS, like this, you can see various reports. But when I create with Lumi, what is it like? How can I track the attempts? Yes, there is a Lumi Analytics that is also available along with Lumi when you download. There's a basic level of analysis is available to us. When you create content with Lumi, you can export your content as a HTML file and then you can distribute among your students. And the moment they receive it and they interact with the content, and then they can download that file and send it to you. They cannot edit it, by the way. It is the .lumi file where you can keep it in the analytics, and then you will see this analytics part. And then about reusing H5P content, yes, it is depending upon the copyright they give there. Every H5P content type will have an option there, reuse, and then you can download and then reuse them. Whenever you are reusing, please don't forget to attribute the owner. Before I demonstrate Lumi to you, let me conclude with 2 more slides. Okay, always go to h5p.org and see the examples. Most of them are downloadable. Just click on reuse and download and open it in Lumi application and see the backend how they did it, or see the tutorials. h5p.org contains wonderful tutorials over there. You can see them. You can see how creatively they are utilizing. You can modify and repurpose the same content with various examples. One more beautiful thing is the OER hub, where they are integrating this hub in the authoring tool itself. For example, you see this. This is inside our learning management system. H5P authoring option is available here. Here there is an option, get shared content. Okay. And here you will see that various people around the world, they share the content with copyright licenses, open licenses. You can see, you can search either by language. For example, you want to search a language H5P interactions and you want to utilize them. For example, I am contributing to this H5P OER hub. If you say Telugu OERs, okay, and you can definitely find filter languages. I said Telugu, see. These are then you can utilize them depending upon the copyright. For example, this is the content that I want to use. Then they will give you what is the license, and you can preview them if you want to use it. If you want to get connected, you can just simply get connected and you can utilize. See, this way it reduces the redundancy, right? There are people around the world that they are utilizing H5P, and there won't be any duplication of the content created. Depending upon the open license, H5P provides us an option to give a metadata about details about the author and the kind of license that passes. So depending upon that, they can reuse. This is one example of a course presentation where presenting a course along with a question posed. And this is about example screenshot of dialog cards of H5P. This is the live action we will see here. Yeah. This is in our Telugu language dialog cards developed in H5P. I don't know why it is taking time though. Before we create, we have to think about the time we have, and because the time is required not only to create but also to develop our skill and the kind of infrastructure and the purpose of interactivity. Not just merely we have to create the content we create. And let me demonstrate a Lumi to you all. How it looks.
Ma'am, we have received a question here. Should
Yes.
I ask you?
Yeah, please.
So just the way you showed the Telugu language content developed on H5P, are there any more languages other than Telugu in which the content has been developed?
Yes, ma'am, there are many. We can actually search for it. There are available, and it supports multilingual.
Okay.
And when you search for a OER on interactive content in various languages, definitely you will get it.
So we'll get the regional languages of India, or we'll get it in foreign languages as well?
Yeah, any. There are many.
Okay.
There are many. Yes. Around the world, it's a popular too. Yeah.
So there's ample of variety available.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
great.
And so we can stop. We need not to reinvent the wheel. It's already content available, and then we can just repurpose it while attributing them.
Okay.
So quickly, I will show this content. This is a H5P Lumi application. When you load, this is the interface, and this is a H5P editor. And we have create a new H5P button here. This is the authoring environment. These are the various content types that you have. This authoring environment is same even in your LMS or in your website that supports H5P plugin. Okay, the same authoring environment will be here. But with Lumi, as I said, when you don't have any site or LMS that supports, so with Lumi, what you can do is when you create a file, for example, let me open a H5P file. Already I have maybe. Yeah. And then when you create, for example, you created this file and then you want to distribute with your students. Then what you can do is you can just click on export, and then you can save it as all-in-one HTML file. You can just export it, and it will ask you where to save, and then you can distribute that file among your users. So that is the beauty of it. And then to see the Lumi analytics, they can open that file and then download, and then we can get all those options from our learners, all those Lumi files, and then you can open that Lumi files that you get, and you can see this analysis here. So what is the interaction that they have done? So I hope now the major doubt is how to create H5P in an offline mode is cleared. I am thinking, because many of them will ask when it is H5P, I don't have a site, neither I have an option to afford to have a H5P content. Or what you can do is, I would like to present some more examples here.
Okay.
And some templates and some examples where you can take, you can get inspired from, and then you can simply use them.
Okay.
I will demonstrate H5P catalog from India. I'm really proud to say that this is the only site that is listed as H5P repository from India in Merlot H5P repositories.
Okay. Ma'am, we've got last 10 minutes left.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So this is the H5P catalog, and you can register here. Let me log out. Yeah. There is a register option. Anybody who is interested to create some content, they can register, and moderator will approve, and then you will have an option to create add content, and which will ultimately will be available to the world with a license. Okay, various subjects were developed. Already people are populating some content here. And let me show you what are the repositories around the world, if it is, if they are there. Okay, H5P Merlot resources, when you look at it, what they did is they combined, they're trying to curate all the options, the collection. Okay, they bookmarked certain collections, H5P resources. See here, you will find H5P catalog. See, these are all the collections of H5P content types. I think somebody asked about the other languages.
Yes,
yes, there are. French, German, and even in Filipino, and then even Vietnamese, we have wonderful options available. So you can just browse through, and then depending upon the license, for example, I'll show you if at all you like the certain content type, and then you want to utilize it, okay, and the copyright permissions are there. For example, see this rhyming words, okay, Okay, see, this is an example of a course presentation where the content is on the left and there is some exercise given here for the user, like this on all the slides. This is an example of where you can provide the content along with a task, right? And at the end, that is the summary. And you really liked it and you want to use it. Then what you can do? You can click on this rights of use and see that the license, and then simply you can click on reuse and then download as H5P file. Then you can open it if you have a H5P supported site or a LMS. If you don't have, use a Lumi application, open this and see how they developed it. I hope I am clear on this part, especially reusing already available H5P content.
Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes, yeah. So sometimes there might be like people that they may not give an option to download, but then only you can embed them. See, what is the difference between download and embedding? Embedding is like iframe, where be it in a site or in a blog, you want, if it supports iframe embedding, then you can just copy this code and paste it there, it will get embedded. But remember, when you do that, the reporting and options won't be there. For the reporting option, definitely you should be having a supporting site, or simply you distribute it with a Lumi application as a HTML file to the user, and then you get it back and then see the analysis of it in the basic Lumi analytics. This is about distributing your content if at all you liked it, and then if you want to utilize it. Any more questions, ma'am, before I...
Yes, we have a question. Our viewer is asking that why would you recommend Lumi to us, as in to the students or teachers or even parents? Any special feature you would like to highlight?
Yeah, ma'am. Like when you want to create H5P interactive content,
Yeah.
the options are either you have a H5P supported website,
Okay.
or an LMS that has a H5P plugin. That's a free plugin, by the way. Okay, free plugin either for a WordPress site or for a Drupal site, or for a LMS. But then you don't have any option of either of it. Then what you do? So that application is Lumi for that. In future, Lumi will have various other authoring options too. Right now, Lumi is supporting H5P authoring.
Okay, okay, that's great. I mean, that's a valid reason for our students and teachers to use Lumi. One more question we have received. You mentioned that H5P works on multiple browsers. So does it work on all the browsers, or there are any exceptions?
It works all the browsers. It works in all the browsers, but then the exception is that sometimes when you create a HTML file in a Lumi application,
Okay.
That's what I wanted to actually show also. Like when you create in a Lumi application, you want to export it as a HTML file and then you distribute among your students. Sometimes some mobile browsers, depending upon the settings that user have, so it is behaving a bit weirdly. Remember, this is an open source software. Definitely there is a huge forum around us. We can write to them and then we can see, and we can ask also if there are any. I already reported that. And one more thing I want to highlight here is when it comes to all browsers, or it should reach each and everyone. Here what I'm talking about each and everyone is even with people a special need I'm talking about here. People who uses accessibility tools, we have to create a content accessible. That means every type of a user should be able to use our content. Either somebody is using a screen reader or a mouse pen or only keyboard, that should support. So how do we know that all content types, more than 40 are there, they support here? that you have to see H5P accessibility recommendations here. They clearly mentioned in their site itself what is the content type, whether it is accessible, whether it is maintained by the core team, and what is the browser support here. This is the list that is already available in h5p.org, content types recommendations.
All right. Okay. Okay. So I'm sure our viewers, they are going to check the list. You have already shown the list to us. So they are going to see the entire list and read out the contents available. And ma'am, let's take one last question and then we'll wrap this session. So are all these contents mobile friendly as well?
Oh yes, that's what I'm talking about, that it is responsive. Yes, they are mobile friendly, but then the only exception sometimes is when you create and export it as a HTML file and use it in mobiles to distribute that HTML file. You know, depending upon the content type, the user may or may not be able to use it, but it is 99% it works in all browsers. It just need a browser.
Okay, that's great. That sounds really great. And Lumi application, so does it work offline as well, or is it completely online?
It works offline, ma'am. It works offline definitely, but then to update the libraries that it got, we have to connect once so that all H5P content libraries are updated. You know, whatever is available from the h5p.org should get updated. So it works offline.
So updates people receive in how many months or days or weeks? Oh,
actually any open source, you know, usually they have every month, or if it is a serious bug, they simply say that, hey, there is, see, for example, here I'm showing the updates function here. Okay. Like I checked on, check for updates and pre-release features also I checked. So some content types will have some pre-release features which I want to test. So that's why it gave me a beta version of it. So I can always install and restart. And these open source ones, what happens is usually they have certain time, like every month or every 2 months, but then when it is in a development stage, you know, as I must say, Lumi is really just coming into action, and whenever there is any threat to security or so, they immediately release a fix to it. So a bug fix if there is any bug. Like recently, a crossword, a type of a crossword content type is not working with Telugu language. And I reported it in GitHub. You can see the mere everything that in my GitHub, it's a public now. I helped a person from Germany. He's Oliver, and he fixed it where I helped with the script, I mean the Telugu language, and then he could fix it. They released a fix to that content type.
All right. That's really great, ma'am. And so once in a while, students can use the internet. Otherwise, they can use Lumi application offline. Thank you so much, ma'am, for all the information you gave on H5P. Yes, ma'am, you want to say something?
Sorry, yeah, Lumi application is only to author the content, ma'am. Okay. For the teacher, and student need not to have a Lumi application to use it.
Okay.
That's just the correction.
So our viewers are teachers, parents, and even students. So I'm sure they're getting all the sufficient information they require from this entire program. Thank you so much for giving us such a great content, such a great information actually on H5P. Thank you so much for giving us your time.
Namaskar. Thank you.
Thank you to all the viewers for watching this webinar on ICT Tool, and this was really great. And if you want to see it again, then please see it on our YouTube channel ncertofficial and spread it to others as well, because this is highly useful and informative. Thank you once again for watching this entire program, and our upcoming program is Sahyog, Guidance for Mental Well-Being of the Children, and the title would be Understanding Substance Use and Abuse. Please stay here, don't go anywhere. We're coming after a short break. Thank you. Namaskar.